We've been fishing since the caveman era, but things are a little bit different nowadays. Technological advancements have gone from being able to see everything under the water.
We have some SCHEELS Outfitters rods and reels that have been made specifically to address some of those tensions that customers are having. And we're talking all about forward-facing sonar.
Those fish can't hide anymore, and now we're figuring out how to effectively learn their behaviors, learn how to target them, and we're talking a lot about products that will specifically make that more efficient. And today we have one of our gurus, Carson Miller. He's going to tell you everything that's new in the fishing shop, what you need to know about to catch more fish. You know, let's just start it off with electronics. What's new and exciting out there right now?
So new and exciting in electronics for this year is predominantly Humminbird. They put out their Explore series this year as well as Mega Live 2. I had an opportunity to play around with that stuff last week when we were down in Georgia for SCHEELS University, and I was honestly very, very impressed with it. I think we're going to see a lot of really good things from Humminbird this year as far as what our customers are seeing. Garmin is still there. They've been on the top of the leaderboard for forward-facing sonar, and that's what's driving most electronics in the last couple of years is all forward-facing sonar. Every company makes a good side scan transducer. Race is really in that forward-facing sonar, and Garmin with the LiveScope Plus or the LVS 34 is still the top dog, in my opinion. That being said, I was really impressed with that Mega Live 2.
Yeah. What I really like about Humminbird is the whole one boat network system.
Yeah,
and
it's
like
fantastic.
The interface, like everything links together, like that new Explorer graph, super fast, super clear, just so much functionality to it. If you're used to Humminbird, you have a really fantastic option that will pair with forward-facing sonar now. So
absolutely. Yeah. And one thing, this is kind of, Humminbird talks about it a little bit, but the waypoint management on the Explore series is absolutely phenomenal. The ability to categorize your waypoints and sort through all your data. There's nothing else like it on the market right now.
Yeah, it actually brings me, so I mean, my normal job is social media, so I'm responding to all of like the comments on stuff. And I hope this one guy is listening to this podcast right now. He put a comment out. It's like, why do we care about waypoint management? I mean, really, the only thing that really caught my eye was my daughter said the colors are really cool. And I was like, okay, I get that. My 4-year-old and my 9-year-old would probably be like, ooh, that's pretty. But in terms of waypoint management, like when you have like 700 to like 1,000 pins on a single lake, like good luck remembering what every one of those is. Now you have the opportunity to like color code based off of certain things that fit your mental criteria so you can access them so much faster. It's like, oh man, where did I find that rock pile over on the west edge of the lake? You know, I have 38 pins. I'm not going to drive to 38 pins, but now I'm going to be able to like quickly and easily identify like which specific waypoint I want to get to. And when it comes to like tournament stuff, that's huge.
Yes, absolutely. And especially if you fish a lot of lakes. I am just as guilty as everybody else. On my console unit that I do most of my scanning on, I've got hundreds of waypoints, and I don't take the time to name them when I drop them because I'm idling around looking for stuff. You know, I just see a little patch of grass and I just go, whoop, and then I come back 3 months later and it's just waypoint number 44. I don't know what's there.
Yeah, exactly. Or oftentimes like you're dropping a pin on a fish. I want to catch that fish. I don't want to take a minute to like name it, you know?
Yep. Yeah. So that draw to select function on the Explore series is really, really cool.
Yeah.
So what additional criteria are you adding then when you're marking these waypoints?
That's a question for you, Carson.
So, obviously, there's the danger. There's a tree sticking up in the water right there. I don't want to hit that. But outside of that, it's, you know, is there a rock pile? Am I marking every side of the rock pile? Is there a weed line? Am I marking down the edge of this weed line? But it also allows you to separate them into different folders. So if I want to go look for rocks on Lake X, Y, or Z, I can pull up a folder and it'll list all my waypoints that I've already put in that folder.
So you're still manually entering some of this information, but it's just a lot easier to use?
100%.
Okay.
Yes. And you can do this on most of the graphs that are out on the market right now. It is just a lot more work. Humminbird really streamlined it with this new series.
Mm-hmm. So if Humminbird or Garmin or Lowrance are listening, they should do like talk feature icons. Be like, hey, bird, mark this as a rock in red. And then all of a sudden it does that.
That would be fantastic.
Yeah. So
I'm sure someone could do it.
Yeah. Gen 2 Explorer. Jot that down for notes, Humminbird. Oh, love it. What else? How about more products? Give me another one.
Yeah. Want to stay with electronics?
Let's do that.
And we should mention that we are going to have all these products listed in a link below.
2 other big ones. You've got the Lowrance Eagle Eye. That is a new forward-facing sonar unit. Came out for this past winter, but it's sold with a 9-inch screen and this transducer that's going to run your down scan as well as your forward-facing sonar. And it's $1,000. There's never been any way to get into forward-facing sonar at that price point before. To someone who is, maybe you fish occasionally and you've seen your buddy's live scope and you want to be able to go out and do the same stuff but can't justify spending quite as much money, it makes a really good option for that customer.
Yeah, I finally got the chance to like fish with it a decent amount this past weekend at Winnipeg. One of my buddies had one, so like looking through it, seeing everything, seeing the differences between live scope and Lowrance, and it's definitely different. So you only have one cone angle versus the 3 in the live scope, so you're going to see a little bit different picture. But if you know how to use it, you can see the same thing in a slightly different way. And the clarity is great. You know, it exceeded my expectations. And you know what I really liked about it? The weight.
It super easy to carry around.
Yeah, because like I was running a LVS 34 with an Ultra 2, and we both had HD Innovations shuttles and poles. And mine was probably twice the weight. So I am stubborn and I will carry that anywhere as far as I need to. So like I didn't particularly care about it that much, but it's like, man, when you're doing stuff the whole day or when you're moving it in and out of the boat, it's just really, really nice to have that reduced weight, but still the forward facing sonar capabilities.
Absolutely. And going on the weight thing, the Eagle Eye has significantly lower amperage draw than your live scopes or your Mega Lives. So you can get away using a little bit smaller battery. Shave a little bit more weight off.
Absolutely. And price point wise too. So if you're getting into like the 30 plus amp hour lithium batteries, like those suckers are not cheap. They are needed.
They're proud of them.
If you're going to fish the whole day. Yeah. But you can run like a 15 amp hour one and last the whole day and you're going to be just fine.
Yeah.
One other thing as far as like with the weight and the size goes, like if you are maybe like a kayak fisherman and you want to get into the forward facing sonar game, that's a great unit for you. So it's like you can mount that onto a kayak super easy. You know, like your pond hopping stuff. You know, like or
don't have
your
to
little
move the transducer. You just have one transducer that you can hang off the side of the boat and be done with it.
Yep, that's a game changer. And like you said, the price point too. Like if you just can't justify getting into forward, but you really want it, that's a great first option. And you know, maybe you want to upgrade 2-3 years down the road. That thing is still going to be worth basically what you paid for it.
Absolutely. And you touched on the target separation or the clarity of the sonar a little bit. At least I didn't know this before last week, but they take the same sonar elements that they have in their active target 2 and just remove one. So it's the same target separation as their top of the line sonar. It's just a little bit more of a limited view.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. So it's a cool unit at a great price point.
I'm envisioning you on your paddleboard with this.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I want to.
That would be a dangerous move.
Yeah, that really would be. I would have to find a way to like really lock it in to that paddleboard and like with
core work. Just you hold. Yeah.
I mean, like, granted, I haven't fallen off yet or like really tipped it, but there was this one time when a wakeboarding boat came by pretty close.
I'm sure that was fun.
That was dicey. It was very dicey. So I don't know if I would recommend that. especially like my current live scope setup, that is not making its way onto the paddleboard. I think I'm just going to like OG sight fish with that one instead. I'll leave that one for the boat. But yeah, cool. I feel like we covered electronics pretty well. Any last thoughts?
One other thing for this year is going to be lithium deep cycle batteries. We kind of touched on the smaller lithiums, but with boat setups and how guys are rigging their boats up with more modern electronics, bigger screens, more screens, a deep cycle lithium battery for your boat is an absolute game changer. Anyone who's owned a boat long enough has had their electronics running too long, and they go to turn the key and they kill their battery with their electronics. Being able to isolate all those electronics off your starting battery is huge. We work with Amped Outdoors here. So that 100 amp hour deep cycle or the 130 dual purpose battery are fantastic products.
That's awesome. So, AP, we've had some connection issues. We are going to have to edit this.
We lost you too. But.
So can you like raise your hand or something so I can see if you're okay? We are good now.
Yeah, I think we're good now.
Okay, we should be able to stitch that out.
Okay.
Last thing couple of last points on the electronics is like, we haven't touched a lot on Garmin. Garmin is absolutely phenomenal. There's a couple of really great deals we have. The Ultra 2s with the LVS 34, they're like $1,500 off the 10 and like what? Yep. $2,500 off the 12 or something like that.
Yeah, it's a fantastic price.
Things are getting into a much more affordable unit now, and like as far as the evolution of forward-facing sonar goes, too, you can step into it for $1,000 now. You can buy the 32 for like $1,800, or then you can move into like something that's really, really phenomenal for about $2,500 now. So it's like there's something for everybody in the forward-facing sonar journey. And if you haven't used forward-facing sonar, a lot of people call it cheating. I've seen a lot of fish not bite my bait and got just as frustrated.
Absolutely.
But you learn, there's so much knowledge on it, and it's different products for different areas of your fishing journey.
Yep.
Is there like a top question that you get asked about forward-facing sonar?
To be honest with you, LiveScope or Garmin's LiveScope Plus has been around long enough now that all it takes for a customer to come in and really decide that they want that is they go on their buddy's boat who has one. It really just changes the way people fish so much. So I have a lot of people who come in like, I need a LiveScope, show me how to run it. And I'll just run you through basic settings.
Mm-hmm.
And that is the fantastic thing on that LiveScope Plus is it's not hard. I mean, there's not that many things. The LVS 32, there were a couple of settings you had to tinker with a little bit more. But the LVS 34, I mean, it's very intuitive.
You can be pretty dang dangerous on your default settings with a 34.
I know. That's what I tell guys. And we have a lot of guys who are not, I don't want to say not tech savvy, but they might still own a flip phone. And I'll tell them, if you get confused, just press the center button and it's going to go back to auto. It's going to take you back to, your default settings, like you were saying, and it's still good.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. I think that's comforting for people to know. You have
Absolutely.
This expensive piece of equipment, and how do I use it? But you can mess around with your settings and then still reset it and still be dangerous.
Yeah. There is absolutely no substitute for time on the water, though. Get yourself out there and start pressing every button you can think of to see what they do. And, even having a notepad or like your notes on your phone or something, it's like, okay. I do have a quick question for you since you're our fishing expert. When you're running a 10-inch Ultra 2 with the 34, how do I change the brightness settings on it?
You just tap the power button.
You just tap the power button?
Brightness settings on your screen?
Yeah.
Yeah, tap the power button once. It'll bring up a brightness menu.
Thank you. Wow, that was so much easier than I anticipated.
There's another way to get to it through your system settings, but there's a shortcut. Just quick tap on the power button.
I'm so glad we had you on this podcast.
I'm glad I could bring that little tidbit for you.
Yeah, that'll probably be my number one takeaway from this one. So, I'm sorry, but I think it really will be. That's going to save me a lot. Oh, awesome. All right.
And one thing I always tell guys, if they're they're rigging their boat up with all new electronics, as fishermen, myself included, if I go out and I say, I'm just going to learn my electronics today on the lake, that's all I'm doing, that lasts about 5 minutes. I see a fish, sure. I'm like, it's time to go fishing. So I tell guys, with forward facing, I'll say bring one rod with like a really heavy jig on it, and just leave the rest of the rods in the garage. Go out, press buttons, scan around, and cast that 1 ounce lead head out there so you can kind of get a feel for how to cast into the cone angle.
Mm-hmm. I tell you what though, when you get her dialed and you can like track your 1/8 ounce jig at 60 feet, it turns it into something else.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
All right, let's do a little rod talk. I want to talk SCHEELS Outfitters rods.
Absolutely.
What do we got new in the lineup this year?
New in the lineup this year, we're going to have the Ibisu Pro completely redone. We've got the new Walleye series, which has a couple new actions and lengths. And then we've got the Muskie series. Our Muskie series rods are now telescopic, which is huge for Muskie guys with rod lockers they want to put their rods in. Personally, I'm most excited about that Ibisu Pro. I've been fishing the original Ibisu Pro for 2 or 3 years now. And I had my thoughts on it, and they knocked it out of the park with that new reel seat. It's got a really sharp look. The trigger on the reel seat is just a little bit longer, and that rod fishes completely different than the old Ibisu Pro. And they're retailing at like $160, I believe. And for that price point, there's genuinely not a better rod on the market for a guy that's going out with a bass rod.
Mm-hmm. Ibisu Pro is my favorite rod out of the whole line.
They're awesome.
Like I haven't fished with a new one yet, so you
need to. They are
intrigued.
Awesome.
I'm also a little frustrated that you're making me buy more new rods, but it is what it is. I love mine for pitching jigs. I've got like a 6.6 medium light extra fast, so I can just literally feel every piece of gravel on the bottom with it.
Absolutely.
I also I've got another one for jigging wrap setups. I really like that too. Just the action on it and the feel. Cause like if you toss jigging wraps a lot, the faster and the more efficiently you can feel that bottom contact, the more fish you're going to catch and the less you're going to get hung up and the better experience you're going to have. And for your money, you're just not going to find a better rod. I mean, granted, you can find a better rod, but you're paying $400 for it.
Correct. Yes, absolutely. At the price points that we have our outfitters rods at, they are genuinely, in my opinion, the best value on the market.
Mm-hmm. Can you maybe explain a little bit about the SCHEELS Outfitters rods? Like, were you part of that group that, gives your input?
Yeah. So one thing that kind of makes the SCHEELS Outfitters rods stand out from other retailer branded fishing poles is that we design them all ourselves. Our line leaders are constantly reaching out to the people in stores and saying, what can we do to make these better? So like I said, with the Ibisu Pro, a lot of people complained that trigger wasn't quite long enough. They made a new one and it's fixed. So it really allows us to put our input into those rods and develop really fine-tuned build rods.
Mm-hmm. That new color is legit too.
Oh, it's awesome, isn't it?
I
like that. And it's the little things. The foil inlay on the Ibisu Pro makes it glisten just a little bit. They are a sharp looking rod.
Yeah. I mean, I may be biased because I got a truck that's the same color, but I still love it.
And the new Walleye series with the kind of matte OD green is a really sharp looking rod as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, dive into that new Walleye series rod a little bit. What's different on it now?
Yeah, so we completely changed the reel seats. Up until I believe it's a 6.6, they're going to be a full cork grip. Once you get up to the 7-footers and up, they're going to be a split grip. But just went through and added a couple of actions that are really technique specific for those guys out there walleye fishing. So we've got a slip bobber rod now. We've got a vertical jigging rod. If you're walleye fishing, there is a SCHEELS Walleye series rod that is made for what you're doing.
Yeah, that's so cool. Just the technique specificity of it. It's like you can get by with like a 6.6 or a 6.9 medium fast, and you can do just about fish. Everything. Yeah. That's like your Swiss Army rod, but it's like, okay, I got forward facing sonar now, and I start to understand where fish are, what they're doing, their mentality. So I'm going to target them using specific applications. Like I want to go bobber scoping. There's a rod for that. I want to get them doing jigging wraps. There's a rod for that. I want to toss paddle tails. There's a rod for that. It's very cool. It can start getting a little bit dangerous, but it is really cool at the same time.
I like to use, I forget who told me this analogy, but this is something that I tell my customers all the time. I don't know if either of you are golfers, but if you went to the golf course with an 8-iron, you could make it work. You would finish a round of golf.
I mean, I'd pick a 7-iron, but it is what it is.
And that's your, 7-foot medium heavy bass rod. That's your 6/8 medium light spinning rod for walleye. But it's a heck of a lot easier and a heck of a lot more fun when you get your driver out and you can hit it really far. You've got technique specific tools, just like golf clubs.
That makes sense to me.
It does make a lot of sense. I like that analogy a lot.
Yeah.
Nate Bargatze, the comedian, he's got this bit about his wife leaving. You know that I'm talking about?
A few times, the most specific rule following place on the planet.
Yeah, and then he only has the driver for the entire putting with the driver. Yeah.
I need to watch that. The only Nate Bargatze scene is the one where he talks about SCHEELS is the one that I've seen. So I need to get into that apparently.
How many rods do you have then at a given time on your boat? Like if you're going out for the day?
If I'm going out for the day, I probably have 8 rods out, 7 casting, 1 spinning, just because that's how I like to fish. As forward-facing sonar is getting more and more prevalent, that balance is starting to shift towards more half and half spinning and casting. But I usually tell people, if you see me tying a new lure on the water, I am confused. I have no idea what's going on.
How about you, Mike? How many do you have?
Well, I'm a little bit different. I'm more of a walleye guy because when I fish bass, I fish on a paddleboard. So I cannot have 8 setups on a paddleboard. I'm bringing 1, and then I'm generally wearing cargo shorts so I can put like 2 lures in there just in case like a pike takes one or something like that, because that doesn't get to be a lot of fun. You're like half of a mile away from the dock on a paddleboard and some pike took your lure and it's like, well, I guess I'm done. Dang it. So not great for the bass one, but the walleye one, I'm usually running like, I don't know, probably 3 different rods. It's more like a power, and I'll put, different things on. I'll have like a slip bobber one set up, and then I'll have something that's efficient to throw like a jigging wrap or a ripping wrap or something like that. And then, yeah. So, and then I'll probably have my Swiss Army knife ready for any situation. So,
yeah. And one thing I tell guys is like for co-anglers, if you're fishing amateur tournaments, which if you're looking at tournament fishing, I highly encourage you to fish as a co-angler before you take your boat. It is the best way to learn about fishing different ways. So you get exposed to so much. But I tell people, bring 4 or 5 rods. You're going to have a spinning rod. You're going to have a crankbait rod. You're going to have 2 utility rods, and you're going to have a heavy rod.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'll often use my Swiss Army rod for my crankbait rod, but I did forget the jig pitching rod, so I should probably bring 4. Mm-hmm. I tend to forget because they pretty much always just stay in the boat. So yeah, that's the plus about having like a father-in-law and mother-in-law that live on a lake and just have a boat on the lift, and all you do is turn a key and go fishing. So
it spoils you.
It really does. It makes me not want to travel to different places because it's
I know. You get real comfortable on that lake. It's just so easy.
But the cool thing about it too, though, is like you really get to learn that lake and learn certain spots and learn certain tactics, because it's like you develop confidence baits and then it's like, okay, I want to catch them a different way now. I want to expand my fishing horizon and my fishing knowledge, and it's a good way to do that. So
absolutely.
Yeah. Any other new rods you want to touch on?
In the SCHEELS lineup?
It can be a free for all now. I give you permission.
Okay. Well, I'll touch one more on the SCHEELS rods. The Ultralight Pro came out last year. that filled a huge gap in our lineup for our SCHEELS Outfitters rods. That Ultralight Pro is a very sensitive, and it's a little faster action ultralight rod. What you see with a lot of ultralights is they're real noodly. You get a lot of reverberation on them when you cast, so you just don't get the feel. That Ultralight Pro, they knocked out of the park with having a sensitive light fishing rod.
Okay. So is that your like go-to crappie bluegill rod, or?
Yeah, absolutely. I fish a 6.6 light for pretty much everything panfish. Now, I don't claim to be an expert crappie fisherman, but if I'm going to go toss little jigs for panfish, that is the only rod I use.
Nice. Yeah, I target crappie a ton through the ice, but then once the ice leaves, I switch to bass and walleye.
Yep.
So I feel like you shouldn't, especially like early in the season. You can really stack up the panfish, but yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, why do you switch?
Because I love to chase roaming schools of crappie in the winter, and I love to throw a jigging rap in the summer. That's the reason why. It's just
I usually, my job in the winter is I'm blessed to have a wife who loves to eat fish, and in the winter I go fill the freezer up for fish for the whole summer.
There you go.
So I go out and catch crappie, and fish coming out of cold water seem to just be more firm and.
Yeah, they do taste really good.
Okay, so what's your favorite recipe that your wife makes?
Oh, I cook it for her too.
Oh, you
There
do?
you go.
Okay, she just likes to eat it.
I
Okay.
do the whole thing.
Okay, well, yeah.
Personally, I really like just pan-fried crappie are so hard to beat. I mix about half and half normal shore lunch and half Cajun shore lunch, so it's got a little bit of kick to it, but it's not too bad.
How about you, Mike?
You know, I was going to give my recipe, but you literally just said it. So
It's great, isn't it?
yeah, it really is. Because I find myself wanting a little bit more, bit more kick to it with the original. And then you put all the Cajun on there. It's like, oh man, you don't get as much of the fish flavor.
Sure.
So yeah, you do two of them. I also like to do shore lunch Cajun and then the catch and cook crunchy. That's really good.
It puts a really good texture on it.
And then you want to take it another step. I like doing it's like double garlic butter seasoning from, I can't remember which one it is. Like you can start experimenting in the spice aisle. So you get your base with the shore lunch or the catch and cook. And then if you want to add a certain specific flavor, whether it's like, I don't know. I mean, whatever you want.
Whatever
the world
you want,
is your
yeah.
oyster. Have you seen a SCHEELS spice aisle?
Wow,
I mean, there's a million options. So start experimenting.
I've been limited to one cabinet in our kitchen for all the spices that I have. My wife is not happy about it. But yes, you can get in trouble in that spice aisle.
Yeah. So they sell these things called totes, and you can put all your spices in it in like the garage. And then when
I'm now on a rotation where I have to get rid of one if I buy one. So I've maxed out my number I'm allowed to have.
Yeah, I feel you. I feel you on that one. So my wife is very into spices, and every time I open up the spice rack, 1 or 2 or 3 or more fall out. So it started like filtering into our pantry now. So we've got like one of those things you put on the back of the door for the pantry, and that started to fill with spices too. It gets excessive, but at the same time, sometimes you just want something a little different.
Absolutely, and it's fun to try them. That's one of my favorite things with cooking. I know we're doing fishing podcasts right now, but trying a new spice, like I make chicken every single week. I meal prep, and trying a new spice, it's just fun.
Yeah, absolutely. Love throwing a little meat church on there too. They got a lot of different ones
Texas
too.
sugar.
Yeah.
All the time.
Ooh, there you go. Nice.
Is it lunchtime? No.
It should be. You know what? I'm actually missing my 10 o'clock dots time. So I have like a tradition where 10 o'clock rolls around. I have me some honey mustard dots.
You know what you should do?
Or if I have Southwest, mix it with a little bit of beef jerky. That's another phenomenal combination. But yeah, I eat way more dots pretzels than I should. But you know what I do? I walk a little more to offset it because I want my dots.
Yep.
So
you know what you should do is you should crush them up, toss your fish in there.
I have done that before.
Can confirm.
The original, the Southwest gets to be a lot, but it's like we did a fishing trip and we forgot the shore lunch. So I took I sacrificed a bag of dots and crushed it up completely and used that as like the fish batter. It's legit. Yep.
In a
There you
pinch.
go.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll do in a pinch. And then you can like one for me, one for my fish batter, one for me. Okay, getting off topic a little bit here. Let's talk lures. What's new and exciting in the lure world? What are some of your favorites that you really want to tie on?
So we're starting to see more and more minnow style baits coming out. One in particular that I got to play around with a little bit on some spotted bass down on Lanier is the Berkley drip minnow and the Berkley drip swimmer. They make them in any size that you could possibly need. And that drip swimmer in particular, I think is going to be a walleye killer. It's got just a little paddle tail on the back, so it's a nice subtle swimming action. But I was very, very impressed with those, and their hybrid jig heads are great. If you are going to a lake, you're not targeting any fish in particular, you just want to catch fish, I think those things on a 3/16 ounce head are going to be a killer.
Nice. How well do they show up on forward-facing sonar?
Fantastic.
Okay. What is it about? What is it about like the evolution of lures that make it easier for them to like show up?
A lot of them are doing like a flat portion on the back that catches that sonar wave a little bit more, or they're doing air pockets on the inside.
Okay.
I couldn't tell you the specifics on why that reflects better, but an air pocket on the inside of the bait seems to make it pop a little bit better on forward-facing sonar.
Gotcha. Nice. Good to know. Good to know.
Yeah, and that seems to be the biggest trend that I've seen in the last 2 years with new tackle coming out. Is just minnow baits and stuff that's made to pitch at fish that you're seeing.
Mm-hmm.
Because can you use any lure with forward-facing sonar, or are some of these like made specifically for being able to see it?
You definitely can use any lure. But when you're targeting fish on forward-facing sonar that in particular are a little bit deeper, if you're going to huck a spinnerbait out there, those blades are going to make it take a little while to get down. So the forward-facing sonar baits are really made to be able to cast accurately, and they're going to get down to a fish and not scare it. Mm-hmm. So,
sure.
You can go throw a spinnerbait at a brush pile, and if there's a fish in there that feels like eating, he's going to zoom out and grab it. But if he's just roaming around out in the middle and half-ounce spinnerbait drops on him, he's probably not going to eat it. He's gonna swim away. So those little minnows seem to be non-threatening, and they're just a tasty little snack for all sorts of predatory fish.
Yeah, I mean, fish eat fish. It makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, absolutely.
But like, if you're throwing a little red hook with like wacky rigged, you're gonna have a difficult time seeing that on forward-facing sonar.
Yeah.
Okay.
But a lot of your metal style baits, they're gonna show up, whether it's a jig head or whatever. One thing I've noticed that has seen a big progression is like the jerkbait world. What sort of new jerkbaits are you excited about tying on?
I really do like the Mavericks from last year. I fished those a lot. Did pretty good with those, but I am through and through a Vision 110 guy. I will throw a 110, a 110 plus 1, or even the 110 plus 2. That's one with forward-facing sonar. Before forward-facing sonar, I never threw a plus 2. They're hard to cast. They don't fish quite as easy, but they really allow you to get deeper to fish. And if you need to put it right on top of their nose, that plus 2 is really a really good addition to their lineup.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, with forward-facing sonar, the jerkbaits are just like, oh, yeah, I am very effective now. I can catch any fish suspended in the water column.
They show up really good, and the beautiful thing about a jerkbait is you can control how fast you bring it back. Mm-hmm. You can snap it really quick and get fish fired up if that's what they're reacting to that day, or if you need to twitch it twice and then let it sit in their face for 15 seconds. You get so much more feedback with the forward-facing sonar than we had before.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's super cool just being able to judge a fish's mentality. And
it's super fun.
They want. Yeah, it's addicting. Absolutely addicting. As if we needed to be more addicted to fishing in the first place. But, I digress. Any other lures you want to call out?
Probably the Minotator is going to be a big one for you multi-species guys. That I hate to compare it to another bait, but everybody up north has heard of the Mimic Minnow from Northland. They've been around forever. Berkley kind of put their spin on it, did it in a couple of different weights, and that's going to be a great bait just to chuck out and reel in and catch whatever's swimming around out there. Free rigged, nice. So you don't have to mess around trying to buy hooks, stuff like that. It's a really easy bait to just go throw in your basket and go fishing.
Yeah, there is something nice to that. You just pull it out of the package and tie it on and go fishing.
Absolutely. Yep.
Very nice. How about just like the entire fishing shop in general? Is there anything else as far as products go that's pretty new that people need to know about?
I touched on it a little bit earlier, but batteries has been huge. Deep cycle lithiums there's a little bit of a sticker shock to the price point on them because they're pretty proud of them. But relative to a lead acid battery that you might get 2 to 3 years out of, you can expect to get 10, 11 out of a lithium deep cycle. And that's just been probably the biggest thing we've seen trending up. As far as new stuff, we've got a tungsten Evo chatterbait coming this year. We will sell a pile of them. If you guys aren't familiar with tungsten versus lead, and we've seen tungsten get way more popular with forward-facing sonar, but tungsten's a harder material than lead is. So it sinks faster. It's more dense, so you can have a little bit smaller profile, and it makes a lot different sound in the water. So it's more of a clinging instead of a dull thud. Downside to tungsten, it's more expensive. But as more guys are fishing with forward-facing sonar, you're just not losing as much stuff. And you can look at the Northland tungsten jigs. You're not getting hung up in brush piles all the time because you can see right where your jig's at.
You know when you got to give it that little extra snap.
Exactly. Yep.
Have you used any of that new, what is it, Berkley Forward, the line?
Yeah, first time I got to use it was down in Georgia, but it casts like a dream. To be honest, it really reminded me of Nanofill. If you've been fishing for a little while, Berkley used to make a line called Nanofill. They discontinued 2 years ago. It felt like a better behaving Nanofill to me. And your bait gets down quick. It's a super thin diameter, so you can cast it a mile. And then there's less drag from your line as your bait's going down in the water column.
Okay. What type of line? Is it a braid or a monofluoral? What is, or did
it's a braid. It's a kind of braid. Yeah. It's a fused braid, I think. Okay.
Yeah. That caught my attention. I haven't been able to fish with it yet, but, very curious.
The one thing I will tell you with any scoping line, there's a couple of new lines out there for using with forward-facing sonar. They are a thinner diameter and they are not, not designed to be super abrasion resistant. So if you're fishing around dock piling, stuff like that, just keep an eye on it because they can fray a little bit easier than other braids do.
Okay, good to know. Yeah, make sure to put that floral leader on. Very nice. So, okay, last call for products. Anything else you want to talk about, or are we good?
There's all sorts of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, we could make this like a 10-hour podcast. Yeah. But like,
have you seen the size of the fishing shop?
Yeah. Something you gotta pound the table for.
No, I think that's it.
Okay. All of these products we talked about are linked in the description below of the podcast. Your Berkley forwards, all your sonars, all the baits, the new walleye series rods.
You may have to scroll for a while to find all of them.
We might make a longer description on this one because
now we talk seasoning, we talk paddleboard.
Oh, yeah. I will link my paddleboard that I use. It is a pink retro spec blow up paddleboard. Probably not the number one desired one, but it's the one my kids like and the one that's available for me. And it works. I've caught multiple bass on that paddleboard.
Very mobile.
Yeah. The people don't try and steal your fishing spots when you're rocking a pink retrospect paddleboard. They do not take you seriously at all. But then when you pull a 5-pounder up on a frog, then you have a little bit more credibility. Carson, can you tell us a little bit about like your role with the store, how long you've been, and how you really got into fishing?
Yeah, so I started here at SCHEELS in 2018. I was originally the hunting footwear manager. Made the transition over into the fishing shop about 2.5 years after that, and I've been running the fishing and ice fishing shop since then. Always have loved to fish. I really, I fished with a worm and a bobber with my grandpa growing up, just like everyone did. But when I was 13 or 14, my dad took me on my first trip up to Minnesota fishing. We went to Pine Mountain Lake in Bacchus, Minnesota, and we caught one fish in a whole week of fishing.
And you were hooked ever since?
It was my first exposure to, actually being on a boat here in Iowa. I mean, unless you come from a family that loves to fish, most people don't have boats. We just don't have that much water around. So it was my first time really getting out there and seeing what fishing can be like. And I was hooked. I got to give a gentleman named Scott, worked at a little local tackle shop in my hometown. And I still, to this day, remember going in there, and his excitement got me so excited to go out and fish that it really got me into the career that I'm in now as well.
That's awesome. Before we let you go, I want to talk a little bit about content we got coming and your fishing you experience. So we're going to have quite a few videos featuring you. So it's nice to talk to you a little bit on the podcast. We did a little spotlight of you on social media, and just talk to us a little bit about what you were doing and what you're going to provide when you were down at Fish You.
We went down before the SCHEELS Southern University started and spent 2 days filming with one of our Garmin reps, Danny Thompson. And we made a video. The biggest thing we worked on was a video walking you through what you're going to do right after you buy a live scope. So, sorry, I'm losing my voice. We talk you through where you're going to mount your transducer, how you're going to power your units, and some basic settings. We're just hitting all of the really common questions that someone has when they purchase a new Garmin live scope.
Mm-hmm. Very nice. Yeah, that reminded me of something I wanted to say earlier when we were talking batteries and live scopes. If you're having issues with your forward-facing unit, a lot of times it's a battery amperage issue. So make sure you have the proper amount of power hooked up to your battery, because if it's trying to run on its last leg of battery power, it's not going to work to its full capabilities.
Absolutely correct. I would tell you 99% of electronics issues that we see in our shops are voltage related. They're not getting proper power.
Yep. Nice. So what else did you film down there?
Yeah, so we filmed a couple of Lure of the Week videos. We just talked about a couple new baits coming out. And we did a couple of videos on targeting fish suspended in deeper water with forward-facing sonar. But the most of it was really focused on helping our customers get their live scope set up on their boat.
Awesome. I like that. I hope that's kind of what we trend towards. It's like, so everybody, for the most part, knows what forward-facing sonar is, and the people that don't want to use it or don't want to have their opinions. But what we really want to do is we want to educate. And, the more you know about the unit, the more you know about how fish respond under the water, the more in tune with fishing you can be. So. Yeah,
absolutely. And if we can save you from mounting your transducer in a place that might not be ideal for the way you fish, and save you from having to go through that whole process of moving it or buying a product that you might not need, I think that makes it all worth it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's awesome. What were some of your other fishing you impressions? How was that whole experience?
So this was my third fishing university I've been to down south. We used to have it on Lake Ray Roberts down in Texas, where they're having the Bassmaster Classic here in a couple weeks. This year it was on Lake Lanier in Georgia, which is arguably the best spotted bass lake in the nation. And just a little bit on our university process. They send associates down from pretty much every store for these universities, and you get to go fish for a week. You're in boats with professionals who know these products better than any of us do, and you just get to pick their brain for 5 days. There's classroom time for a little bit of it, but most of the time you're out there with the product in your hands. And it is just a really cool experience, and it's why we get paid to do it. As someone who just loves to fish, it is a really, really cool thing that SCHEELS does for its associates.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's just powerful too, you know, just getting that hands-on training, because it's like you can't buy 8 different types of electronics, but you can hop into 8 different boats and experience 8 different types of electronics. So when some customer comes in asking about a specific unit, you can be like, yeah, I have fished with this. I can help you troubleshoot. I can help you make a decision on exactly what you want. It's super powerful, and it's such a great experience. I love it. I'm so disappointed I did not get to join you guys this year, because I've never caught a spotted bass before, and it's definitely on the list. I tell you what,
that lake is about as far from my comfort zone fishing wise as it could be. I'm a Mississippi River fisherman. If I'm fishing in 8 foot of water, it feels deep. We were fishing over 100 foot down there, fishing for suspended fish. So it was really cool to get out of my comfort zone, because I've been fishing for a little while. I tell myself I've got a pretty good handle on it, but doing something that's so wildly different is just a really cool experience to bring back.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. It just makes you a better fisherman, getting out of your comfort zone and trying different things and just learning about all of that.
And then coming back to the store to share with your other associates, coworkers.
Yeah, I was just going to say that for me and for most of us that run specialty shops here at SCHEELS, these universities have a great way of putting wind in our sails. When you're surrounded by so many people from this company in different areas that are as passionate about the things that you are, it really gets you fired up to come back and talk to people and other part-time associates or other shop managers back in your store.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. So you did an associate spotlight and you answered a few questions, and you mentioned the biggest fish you caught was, what was it, like a king salmon in the Kenai River? Out of the Kenai River in Alaska. I need the full story. Give me the full story on this one, man.
Absolutely. So I was fortunate enough, I went with my grandmother to just outside of Soldotna in Alaska, which if you have not been to Alaska in the summertime, it is the most beautiful place I've ever been. Fishing set aside, I highly recommend you go visit it once. Just because it is truly a breathtaking area. But salmon fishing, it is very different, again, than what we do around here. Half the time you're using what they call a Kenai fly, which is a little Aberdeen hook that has a piece of thread tied to it, just one single piece of thread. So it is technically a lure. And you just huck it out there and hope you snag one in the mouth. Those fish, when they come up into fresh water, when they come up into fresh water, their throats swell up and they stop eating. So you can't catch it. So it's pretty much really fancy snagging. However, the kings, they're aggressive. When they come into the rivers, they will just bite out of aggression. So we were back trolling with what they call a spinning globe and a sack of eggs. And when I tell you that those fish are strong, so the Kenai River runs really fast. I don't know what the gradient is on it, but it's faster than anything we have around here. I hooked this fish, and this fish just kept swimming upstream. It did not care that I was hooked into it. It just kept on going, and we pretty much drove the boat right over top of the fish, and I put a little bit more pressure on it and lifted up, and we scooped him.
Huh. That's cool.
It's really interesting. But as someone who loves to eat salmon, that was the most delicious fish I've ever caught.
Oh, I bet. And there's just something rewarding to know that, like, you caught it too.
Oh, absolutely. My grandma was giving away, fillets of salmon, saying, "Oh, my grandson caught this in Alaska for 2 months."
Wow.
Nice. How many, did you weigh the fillets off of that single fish?
No.
If you were to guess,
we chunk them up. You don't package them in a full fillet.
Oh, for sure.
So we did them in like 6-inch cubes essentially.
Mm-hmm.
Because salmon that big, most farm raised salmon is, I don't know how much they weigh, but they're a quarter the size of that fish was. So I mean the fillets were gigantic.
Yeah, I believe that.
That's like the
if
top
you were
quality.
to guess, did you get 10 pounds of meat, 15 pounds off of that thing? Or?
Oh, I bet you it was closer to 20. I mean, they're built like a trout. So, I mean, you scoop the guts out and it's just straight muscle. They don't have real thick bones that go through those fillets.
Yep. Nice.
She was a hen, so it was a female, and she had a couple of pounds of eggs in her.
Wow.
Crazy. That's a super cool experience.
It was awesome. Salmon fishing, not my jam. I would tell everyone to go try it. It is really an awesome experience.
Mm-hmm. Very cool. So,
Awesome.
you got anything else for Carson before we let him go?
I don't know. He hit on a lot of things. So
He sure did. So
Yeah.
I appreciate you taking the time to, pull yourself off the floor and and come talk with us instead of helping customers, so we can let you get back.
Absolutely. I appreciate the opportunity to be here. It's been fun.
Yeah, it's been a blast. We'll have to have you back on. So.
Absolutely.
All right. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us. And, we appreciate all that knowledge and entertainment. And we'll link everything we talked about in the description below. And if you have any questions, if you're in the Des Moines store, make sure to go see Carson. If you're near another location, make sure to head up to that fishing shop and ask questions. We got a bunch of people that want to help you out, help you catch more fish and have a better experience out there.